Okay, so like I said in the Google Classroom announcement, we're not doing Railfence today. Today's really just a review because I didn't want the people who couldn't come because of like different Easter arrangements to like miss out on something. So basically, I just like generated this test. There's like a Discord bot that you can tell some commands to and they can generate tests for you, but you can see like there's only Aristocrats and Patristocrats on it. It's pretty short, so I just thought we could run through this together. And it'll also help like explain the Tobes format if you haven't been using it before. So like the first thing you would want to do is you have to sign in with Google. So like I'll just choose that account because that's the one I usually use. And once you sign in with Google, you have to go to like Test Manager and you have to like import tests from file. And then like I already put this one in, so I can just go to interactive test and then you have to publish it and you have to schedule it. So right now, since we have, or like, if I press add one, you can see that you can only have 3 people taking it together max. And what I mean by together is like, if you're typing something in, you can see what the other person is typing on your screen too. So it's kind of like synchronous, almost as if like you were writing on the same paper. But we can't do that because we have more than 3 people. So I'm just going to assign it to myself. And then like when we do cryptograms or something, you can just like, I guess, yell out what you think is correct in the chat. I'll have it set to start at 10:03. And I guess I'll extend the limit to 60 minutes since that's our class time. And then you go to take a test at the top to take it. And then you can see this big blue button here. You can see like past tests you took too. But this is where you would go to take the test you just assigned yourself. And there's a countdown right there. Okay, yeah, so the first question, it's like auto times, but don't worry about the time since we're like solving this in kind of an unorthodox way. We don't have like just one person going full speed. So yeah, just do what you've always been doing. Just call out stuff in the chat and we can work together. Oh yeah, and there's no slides today because we're not learning new material. All right, I'll scroll down so it's a little bit easier to see the frequency table. All right, well, you can see that MQG, like MQG happens here and it happens here. And like, it's part of a contraction. I'm not sure how to explain that actually, but here, let's just say, what do you think are some good candidates for E? Like, what are the most common letters in here? And you can say multiple. You don't have to just guess one, because we're just going to take from a pool and then narrow down. Did you mean like T as in the ciphertext T, like as in this, or what do you mean by T? Oh, okay, yeah. So the ones that I'm seeing, there's actually kind of a lot that are pretty common in this one. There's like, yeah, there's B, G, K, Q, kind of Z, I guess. But there's a lot that are like 7, 8, 9. So yeah, you don't want to just pick the one that's 9 because it's like technically the most, because 8's like pretty close to 9, right? So you want to like kind of combine it with other strategies when you're looking. One thing is that the letter E usually comes at the end of a word, or I'll phrase it a different way. A lot of words end in E, so it's often at the end of a word. Here, what 2-letter word is it possible to end a sentence with? Because you don't see a lot of 2-letter words ending a sentence, right? Because you can't just end a sentence with in, for instance. Yeah, I think RB is it, because If you know like what the object of a sentence is, it can serve as an object. So I'll just fill in I's and T's. I think that should be all of them. Z is T. I don't think so, right? Because we already used T. Here, we can continue by looking at this two-letter word. Two-letter words are like pretty often how you're gonna like crack something open. If you don't have any one-letter words, like we don't here. Yeah, M is O, because it has to be two, right? Can we think of a way that this word could end? Oh yeah, I do think this is the too, so nice catch. Yeah, that's also shun. Can Z be S? Yeah, I think it has to be, right? Because we already used up T, and only like S and T can be single letter endings to a contraction, right? Oops. Can we get what this word is now that we see it? Yeah, one. That's what I was going for. Usually if you have a three-letter word and it appears again in a contraction, it's either you or one, and then you can check, or I guess it could be can and can't, but you can check like basically matching with frequencies to see if it makes sense or not. But I'm just gonna repeat that again. It could be like you and you'd, it could be one and ones, or it could be can and can't. Connection, yeah, nice. This is kind of a common word pattern. You can see that the K repeats at the fourth and first place. You can also see that K appears here. So if you can figure out what K is, you can also kind of figure out what this word is. Here, we can start like this. Do you think K is a vowel or a consonant? You can also judge from the fact that it appears here twice in the same four-letter word. And the fact that it appears here in a three-letter word right before an N. What three-letter word could this be? And, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So given that K is A, we might be able to get this word. I think we will definitely be able to get this word. Yeah, maintain. And we pretty much have this one. We used O already, right? Yeah, yeah. And you can also reread the sentence to yourself. It helps a lot of the time. Okay, so one must blank. Is eng. It's not let, because here, maybe you can see what this word is based on the fact that, because if you get this word, it does help you solve NGB, because you can see that the A repeats here. I don't know how to explain. Like, there's a family of words that look like this. It's an adverb. I don't know if that means anything to you, like what the structure of the word would be, but it is an adverb. So do you know what adverbs usually end in? There's like a two-letter ending. like here, I'll just give some examples. It means like adjectives modify a noun, right? So I can say like the red apple, and red is modifying the apple. But adverbs modify a verb. So I can say like I ran quickly, and quickly is talking about the running. Or yeah, the third word is always. Another adverb and verb pair, yeah, ly, that's what I was going for. And NGB was yet. You could say like I jumped highly. I guess that's a little bit weirder, but ly is usually how adverbs end. Away, yeah, so based on away, what do you think this word is? What? Yeah, from. It was kind of hard to phrase that rhetorical question. And then we can probably get this word too, from the away from part. And we got it. All right. So we have a couple aristocrats, and then towards the back we have some patristocrats. Okay, this is like a kind of common word pattern, but it's not super recognizable. It's just based on the fact that the S is here, and S is pretty common in this quote. So I guess we can start from what is S? Is that an I or an L, Ethan? I. Hold on. I honestly can't tell. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put it in because I honestly can't tell what it is right now. And we can always just like go over our mistakes later if it happens to be a mistake. But yeah, it's a pretty good guess because it does begin a couple two-letter words, even if they are the same word. It's I don't know. This is like a little bit more advanced thinking, but if this is it, this word has to end in T, right? And like I just can't think of a way that it would make sense like linguistically. Because I don't know, maybe it's just because Z might not be I. So maybe we just want to start from a like I guess a safer place instead of keep building off a guess. Because making guesses is okay as long as we have like another foundation we're building off of instead of basing everything off the guess. So like, here, I'll just ask this question again. The most common letter in here is S, right? And the next most common is P, but there's two less P's. Yeah, so I think S is E is a pretty decent guess. Also based on the fact that it does end a couple words, and like I said before, I think the most common letter to end a word in English is E. And then like after that, it's S because there's a bunch of plural words, right? But E does end a lot of words. Okay, maybe we can brainstorm about what this is because the first word is kind of hard. But let's look at the second word, CVS. Yeah, the is a good guess. Here. I just know it's not the because I know what it starts with based on looking at it, but I'm just going to find somewhere in the quote to show you why it might not be. Okay, yeah. So if this is TH, then this has to start with T, right? And the only other three-letter word that starts with T is either two, like where this TWO, if it were TOO, we would know because these two letters would be the same, right? But obviously it can't be TOO. And TWO doesn't happen a lot. We can look at the frequencies too. Like P is pretty common and W is not so common, right? So it doesn't seem like it. There's also tis, Like if you've ever read like something like Shakespeare or something, you can see how there's like an apostrophe and then tis. They say like tis instead of it is, but it doesn't seem like this is that type of old English quote. So let's think about some other three-letter words that end in E. Also, one reason I might steer away from the is because it's the second word in a sentence. And usually I also don't know how to explain this that well, but usually like the second word is some kind of verb, right? Like maybe this is your subject and this is your verb, and the doesn't really qualify as a verb. Toe? I mean, we did use E already, so I don't think it's toe. Generally, toe doesn't happen a lot either. Like as a word in quotes. Here, let's stick to this word though. After the, there's like two more three-letter words that end in E that are kind of common. One of them is a verb, and yeah, one is a valid choice here. It's not one though. There is a third choice that is technically right here. I'll just try and fill this in again to see if I can find a way. Bed? Oh, are you looking at the first word, Ethan? Here, I'm just gonna fill this in. It's R, right? So, man, I don't really know how to explain this, but basically, this is your subject, USP is your subject, and CVS is your verb. So it's something R. And the reason the first word can't be like bed is because bed is singular, right? And then R is talking about a plural subject, because otherwise you would say is and not are. And it helps when A starts a three-letter word, and you know that three-letter word is R, like A-R-E-R, and then you have A starting another three-letter word, it gives you a signal that it's a pretty good guess because yeah, and or any are pretty common three-letter words. P. So maybe getting P can give you a hint about what that word is. Yeah, men. Nice. Oh, also, just as I guess a warning, I didn't like pre-vet these quotes. This is auto-generated, so I'm not sure what they're gonna say. So don't shoot the messenger if it happens to be something weird. Money, yeah, nice. Okay, so now we know that Z is not I because we got money as the last word, and IY can't be a two-letter word, right? So we can like it's still a good guess because it doesn't have like lasting ramifications throughout the quote. Yeah, ban. But it's pretty harmless to just make the guess because we didn't have to erase a bunch of stuff. Yeah, bye. Dang, there's a lot of B's in this quote. That's kind of weird. Can we see what this word is? Or I guess even this word, maybe. Ambitions, yeah, that's a pretty good guess. Bribed, yep. There. Can we see what this word is now? or this word, since you can see that O is here and O is here. Royalties is a really good guess, but keep in mind that this letter is the same as this letter. So you're really close. You just have to change one of the letters in royalties. Yeah, often. So it's not royalties, but it's, yeah, loyalties. All right, let's move on. Okay, so there are a decent amount of two-letter words that you could go off of. Personally, I would start with this. I don't think A is S in this case. Yeah, I would just start with that because it's a very common word pattern. I usually say pretty common, but this is like extremely common. And it's pretty safe because you can judge off of letter frequencies to match it up too. Okay, I guess there's a word pattern here too. Okay, so we know that that is that, so this can only be one thing. If anybody wants to just say it in chat. Yeah, two. I think we filled everything in so far. Then, I think I won't go so far as to say then, but I do think that this is an E. I think it's either they or then. The reason I'm going to say that is because, once again, I'm going to bring this up again. This A in the ciphertext, but E in the plain text, it ends a lot of words. Like you can say it ends this word, it ends this word, it ends this word. Oops. It ends this word. So you can be pretty assured in saying that it is THE. And now that I look at it, it is then. So that's a really good guess. Yeah. And I confirmed that it was then by looking at this word, which you might be able to get now since we have a couple letters in there. Yeah, someone. Oops. Oh, okay. So you have then something onto. What do you something on to something? That's a weird way to phrase it, but just read that part of the sentence after the comma to yourself and think about what the four-letter word after then could be. Oh, we already have the H. Okay. What do you think F is? Hand is a good guess, but then hand onto. There's a better saying. I'm pretty sure it's saying then hang on to that something. Oh, okay. So we already used O, right? P can't lead to P. Where are you talking about? Oh, here? Oh, rope. Okay, okay. I didn't see that. Okay, so oh, that is a good guess though, because it does relate to the hanging part. And that's a good way to think, because you usually like the sentence relates to the words in itself in a certain way. Okay, so let's try and guess what this two-letter word is, because we already used O, right? So in my mind, an is technically possible, but I don't like if you use an, the next word has to start with a vowel, right? Because that's the only reason you would use an instead of a. I don't think this word starts with a vowel just because we have O in the second position, and like a vowel and then an O doesn't make that much sense to start a word, right? So what's another something N word that's not on, because we already used O. In, yeah, that's what I was going for. Oops. Okay, maybe you guys can see this. Okay, so there's this 3-letter word, XVY. You see it happen here again. Oh, I didn't fill in this O. You know the middle letter's O. And you see it, XVY, as the first 3 letters of this 4-letter word. If you see a 3-letter word and you see a 4-letter word that contains it at the beginning, I think there's really only like a couple possibilities, but there's only one common thing that happens. Faux? Faux is just generally toe. You're back to toe again. We did use E though. They're just generally like not super common words in English. The word I'm talking about right now is very common in English. You say it every day. You think N is F. I do think so too. Because here it says if something something then, so it's like an if then statement, right? So the fact that there's a comma and then kind of signals that it does have to start with if. So that's a good catch. Q is L. Maybe. No, I do think Q is L. Because yeah, then you get life and then you can probably get this word. Love, yeah. And then L, D. Yeah, that's what I was going for. It's you. Because you have the 3-letter word you, and then if you add an R, you have the 4-letter word your. It's actually a it's actually a pattern that happens a lot in quotes. So if you get a 3-letter word and then you have a 4-letter word that contains it at the beginning, it's probably you and your. All right, so this is our last aristocrat, and then we have patristocrats. Okay, where do we start? This one's actually kind of tough. Just thinking about where to start. Yeah, there's not too much to go off of here. Okay, the only thing I can think of is that A is either E or N. Because if you think about it just like visually, E can double up itself and like it could end in ED, for instance, like it could be a past tense thing. So that's possible. Or it could be like NN, which is why I was thinking E or N. Are you? Which part are you? R goes to you, is that what you're saying? Where's R? There's 3 of them. Oh, okay. We're good then. Okay, I guess we can try with A goes to E. It doesn't look like there's too much to go off of, but I guess if you have something that should end in E, but then you basically have a G after an E, or like you have something after an E in each of these words. So what do you think G could be? What letter do you just stick at the end of words? Yeah, I think it's either D or something else. Oh, wait, actually, I wasn't considering D at first, but it might be right. 1 second. T, I wasn't really thinking of. There's another letter. There's another letter. What do you just stick at the end of words if you want to slightly change the meaning? Yeah, S. That's what I was thinking of. So I think it's either S or D. Honestly, it's not that consequential of a guess, so I think we can just put S for now. I don't know. D, I'm not sure why, but it might even end up being D. I think we can just like choose one and go for now though. Because I think F might end up being D just because we have the E set up here. Yeah, this one's actually tough because the other ones had like patterns to go off of, like someone that men are, but this one does not have much. So F is definitely R or D. Because if it's R, then this is like a comparison, like sweeter or cleaner, or obviously like cleaner isn't spelled that way. I'm just giving words that end in R that are like that. If it's N, or no, not N. If it's D, then it's just a past tense word. Honestly, we did a good amount of aristocrats, so we might just skip it if we can't come up with anything. Whoops, my voice just went out for a second. So we might just skip it if we can't come up with anything, but let's stick with it for a little bit longer. You know what? I might switch to D. I'm not completely sure if this is right, but I just see this word like in my mind, so we can try it out. But the reason that friend probably doesn't work is because this 3-letter word starts with a C. So say it's like man, for instance. Friend man doesn't make sense. And I was going for can, but C can't go to C. So we're kind of stuck in a dead end again. Honestly, here, A might have just been N, so we can try that as well. If this doesn't work though, we're definitely just moving on so we can do some Patristocrats. So here, I was just saying N because it can be ing here. So we can see how that pans out in the rest. How many R's are there? There should be 2 more. Here and here. What could XI be? I'm thinking maybe like he. It can't be it since we already used I. It's probably either to or hit, or to or he. And I'm thinking it's not to, because if it were to, then I would have to be O, and then you'd have this word that ends in O. So it doesn't make too much sense if it were to. And given that, you know, we've guessed correctly so far, O does have to end up being a vowel. O only happens twice though, here and here. You know what? I'm just going to say that G is S. All right. You know what? We're going to move on. Too much brain power used on one thing is not too good. So we can just move on here. And also, if you remember like last week how I said make sure you're like writing very organized if you're writing and solving something. there's like this division feature on Tobes where you can just click at the top and then it divides your words for you. So it's pretty nice. It says the first word is I, not just the first letter. So we know that I is like just a word by itself at the beginning. So I'll fill in I's, and then since it's a Patristocrat, it's probably a little bit on the harder side, but I think we can get it. All right, that's all of them. Which is not that much, but oh, okay. I think the word ends here. I'm not sure how to explain how I know that, but basically, how can I say this? If I want to do something, I want to do something very bad. Something want to do something. What's the something? Like, what's that word? Like, I very much want to have an Xbox for Christmas. I blank want to get an Xbox for Christmas. Wait, I'm going to be clear, Aryan. I try and think of the word that you can replace something with in the sentence that I'm saying. So I'm saying it's the same meaning as very much or very. And so like I blank want to get an Xbox for Christmas. Yeah, really. Okay. I think it's really. The only reason I can get that is because E repeats here. And then I confirmed with the letter frequency. So if you look, P is actually pretty common. There's 12. And B also has 12, but P's still like tied for the most common, right? So it has a good shot at being E. Q is also decently common. There's 9 of them. And that kind of lines up with how A should be like almost as common as E. And then there's only 3 Y's, which matches up with how uncommon Y should be. So I think really is a pretty good guess in this case. Of course, it's a hard guess to make, but it's the first thing I saw, so we can just go on that way. Is there another H here? There definitely has to be, but I think I'm missing it. Oh, here it is. All right. That's interesting how the A's are pretty close together. So, after I really, there has to be a verb, right? Like my example was like, I really want something for Christmas, or I really want to do something. But you know that this next word, however long it is, it doesn't have to be as long as I just highlighted. It has to be a verb. So I guess try to brainstorm some verbs that start with A in your mind. It might even be as short as 2 letters. Like it might be I really am. Like it could be that, or it could be a different verb that starts with 2 letters. A different verb that starts with A, not a different verb that starts with 2 letters. There should only be one more L, and it's here. Okay, so we filled in everything that we know. There's pretty much 2 things you could do from here. You can keep solving based on the fact that you kind of have a sense of what the beginning of the quote looks like. You can look at what you filled in to see if you recognize any word patterns, like how I saw really. Or you can look for the. you can look for the as in the word the. So like we already have e's filled in, right? So if you see how B is really common, and we already like used E and it's P, or P is E, I'm thinking that B something P is probably the, just because B is super common and T is super common in English. So if we look around, there's BLP here. So I'm thinking maybe that's the, or at least maybe that's THE inside of a word that contains THE. So if I look around, basically, if you have if you're on a hunch, if you have a hunch that something is the, you want to look for it and see if it happens multiple times in the cipher. Because if it does happen multiple times, then you have a pretty good chance at getting the right the. Let's see. Can we find it anywhere else? There's BL here. TH does happen in a good amount of words just by itself without the E, so it doesn't have to necessarily be the. There's BL here again. It does actually have the E, but it might not be the in this case. There's a B by itself here, B by itself. Honestly, you might just be able to say B is T because B has to be a consonant because you have this P, B, K thing here, and you have E something I, and you know that 3 vowels just don't come in a row. Like, it would be weird. So you know that B has to be a consonant, and you used up R already. R is like a decently common consonant, but I think just saying that B is T is a pretty safe guess. It could be something like N, but we can just see. Yeah, like after we fill it in, we can see if it makes sense or not, and if it doesn't, we could switch it. L is probably H. Yeah, I kind of think so too. So I think we can fill that in as well. Yeah, we got that. So I think that pretty much affirms our guesses, right? So we can stop worrying that we might have gotten it wrong. The beginning is kind of confusing though, because I really am I really it's hard to reason out what it starts with. Yeah, this could be the, or I mean, this could be there, or it could be the re something. It could be there though. I just don't want to mark it off yet because we don't necessarily know what word it is though. Oh, what the? Okay, I found a word. It's kind of a hard word to see, so I won't say exactly what it is necessarily. But do you think V has to be a consonant or a vowel, just based on where it is inside this word? Are you sure about consonant? Because look how it's surrounding a double R. Do you like if it's a consonant, we'd have a quadruple consonant block, right? Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I thought you meant too. Oh, oops. Okay, I didn't mean to leak it. But basically, we already used E, A, and I, right? And it's probably not U because U is not supposed to be this common. This common as in there's 10 V's in this quote, and that's pretty high up there. So I think it's just O because U is not so common, even though it's a vowel. It is a little bit weird that this word ends in O, but we can look past that since we know that this pretty much has to be O. Oh, and also, it's not that weird because this is a 2-letter word. Okay, so we have YO and then whatever F corresponds to. We also have YO, whatever F corresponds to up here. So what do we think F is? Actually, yeah, I think it is there. So nice guess, Irene. I'll also cut it off here if that helps. We have a 3-letter word that starts with YO. Yeah, F is you. So this could be like out there. Okay, well, we have this thing where we have a 3-letter word again, and it starts with A, and we know it's not R. So what are some candidates for what this word could be? Actually, there's only one word it could be because we already used Y. Any guesses? Just think about 3-letter words that start with A. Tomorrow. Okay, yeah, you can just get that word too. That's pretty good. Tomorrow. Yeah, I think it was go tomorrow as well. That's pretty good. Nice job. So we have this. We have an I and a G, and we have a letter separating them. What do we think that letter is? N. Yeah, nice. With. Where is that? Hold on. Oh, okay. Oh, was it here? Yeah, sometimes I just like mush letters together too, and I see it like that too. Oh, okay. This is one word. That's a pretty long word to end the quote. Okay. Starting from I, going through C is one word. Oh, yeah, that was and. That's what I was asking about earlier. What do we think this word is? Where it starts? Yeah, S. It's something. So it was I really am, I guess. So we knew it had to be a vowel. We just didn't know exactly what vowel it was. So now we have it. Oh, I got it. I really am a theater. What do we think X is? P. Yeah, nice. Maybe that can help us get the last word too, since I already partitioned it off. What is S? Oh, okay. So it's sectioned off like this. Yeah, it's performance. Nice. So the quote says, I really am a theater person. That means you put something out there and you let it go tomorrow night. Oh, and you let it go, period. And then a new sentence starts. Tomorrow night is a new performance. Yeah, that's one of the things with Patristocrats. It's hard to see when a new sentence starts. So you kind of have to like think about how it would flow if you were just like talking. Okay, this hint isn't super helpful because there's 2 I's in the entire quote. Okay, yeah, it is pretty tough, but we do have 11 Ds, and the next most common letter is A at 5, so what do we think D is? What do we think D pretty much has to be? Yeah, if I won't say it's 100% accurate guess, but if you have a clearly like miles above more common letter, because like 11 is way more common than 5, then it's usually E. And if you have it doubling up uh, in a word, you don't necessarily know that this is part of the same word, right? Because it's a patristocrat and you don't know where the words are partitioned off. But if it doubles up, you can pretty much assume that it's a vowel or a special consonant like N that can double up. Okay, I think we filled in all our Ds. Where should we go? I guess, like I said in the last quote, there's a couple things we could do. We could look for word patterns based on what we already have filled in. We could look for the, and I actually think we ended up looking for the mixed with a couple of word patterns on the last one. Yeah, those are really our two options. Or we can reason off like a reasonable quote from the beginning, but we literally only have I. So that seems like a hard thing to do. It is kind of tough. I guess we can look for the. It might not even happen in this quote, right? Because it's a relatively short quote, but we can still look for it to see if it's possible. So you pretty much, what you want to do is you want to go from every time E happens and you just want to go split that into a 3-letter word, like hypothetically, and see if it's possible. I don't think GID can be the, because then you have this 1-letter word T after a 1-letter word I, and that just doesn't make sense, right? So I don't think it's GID. It could be YXD. It's a possibility because the word could just end right here. So YXD we can like keep in the back of our mind, even though Y only happens once and X happens twice. You know, it's a little bit weird. It doesn't really help us that much, but it could be JWD. J happens 4 times, which I like better than Y happening once. And W happens twice. I like that frequency a little bit better. So JWD, I'm going to throw out YXD in my mind, and I'm going to hang on to JWD. Maybe it's LMD. 2, 1. It's not really the best frequencies, but it's possible. So I'm going to think about these two. It's not OOD because O repeats, so it's automatically out. It's not JJD for the same reason. It can't be DID because we have an E here where a T should be. And we have LBD as a choice, I guess. The reason it's not LBD in my mind is because say this ends up being the, you have a 3-letter word here. You can't have the and then a 2-letter word. It's just like a rule because a 2-letter word, toe. Okay, a 2-letter word usually can't be a noun, right? And the has to come before a noun pretty much. So that's my logic. So I honestly kind of like JWD. I like it the most just because of J being decently common. Yeah, it could be R, like it could be R the, but I just feel like T has to be somewhat common and J is somewhat common in this case. So we can try sticking with this JW, and JW happens again in the quote. So that's something that I like. The fact that TH happens again, even though it's not necessarily THE. I feel like we just filled in everything, which isn't great. Yeah, Actually, I was going to say we might skip, but we don't have that much time, so we might just want to finish this out or just go to cryptograms.org and do a little. Oh, I got it. Wait. I think I got it. Yeah, Aryan, you and I are on the same wavelength. Better then. That's what I saw too. Yeah, so usually if you see an E-T-T-E, the word can be better. And then if you say better in a sentence, you have to have that comparison. You can't just say, I am better you. You have to say, I am better than you. Like the than has to be there whenever better is there. So that's why I think this could be a good guess. Let's see. V is only used once, so there's nothing to fill in. A is used 4 more times, so we can get that. Okay, so we filled in all of those. K is used once more, so we didn't get a lot out of this, but it does help us reason it out. Okay. Yeah, I think even if we go over time, we can just finish up this Patristocrat and then end class. See, this throws me off because OOD ending a word is a little bit weird. Better than I was thinking like expected in my brain, but it doesn't work just because of the spacings of the words. Oh, I got it. So we have a 4-letter word here. E something ER. What do we think that could be? Yeah, I also think it might be seen, but it only fills in 1 more letter for us. So I'm just not going to make the guess yet. But we have a 4-letter word here. What do we think it could be? It's here. It's E something ER. If that helps you, since it crosses a line. What do we think the something could be? Any guesses? Okay, no, I'll just fill it in. I think it's ever. So better than I ever. I was going to say expected again because that's how my brain like wants to finish the sentence. Yeah. I was thinking I have as well, but we already used H and A. So it might be like I love or something. Honestly, yeah, it might be just worth guessing love because we know it has to be a verb, right? G G T. Oh, where do you see did? Oh, hold on. I think better than I think this is a 5-letter word. Wait, hold on. It does seem a little weird. Okay, it might not be a 5-letter word. I really want to get what OOD is. It's just such a weird word. been, yeah, if you're talking about XDDK, it could have been, right? But we did use be already. And that's why I think Aryan said seen, but I'm just not sure if that gets us anywhere. Better than I ever. I was thinking this could be would or could. But like if you fill this in, then you have a U here, which looks weird. Like maybe it divides there, but it does look a little weird. I do really want to get this with you guys before we end class. Okay, we know Z has to be a consonant because we can't have a vowel here. But does that mean that perform me? Okay, I honestly think. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. So this is perform me, which makes absolutely no sense, right? You don't perform a person, but I think they're saying like they imitate me or something. Because like if you look, yeah, self. I think this is myself because there's a lot of words that end in self that you could use, like itself, myself, himself, herself, yourself, themselves, ourselves. But in this case, I think perform me matches up with myself. And it did end up, oh wait, it didn't end up being seen. Never mind. I had a little mix up in my mind there. So it's they. Hold on. Do we have anything else to fill in from that? I love something. They perform me better than I ever. Oh, so this is could because it's better. Oh, shoot. I'm going to add some time to that so we can finish. So yeah, if you ever run out of time, you just like make the starting time of the test, you push it forward and then you get extra time. That's if you assign it to yourself, of course. If somebody else assigns it, that's not possible. But that's why I was going for could, because it's like better than I ever could myself. I was kind of steering away from it. Oh, okay, I know what this quote is. It's drag queens. Or I don't know the quote. I could just see the word. It says, I love drag queens. They perform me better than I ever could myself. So it's probably some famous woman celebrity. All right, but like I said, yeah, I'm not responsible for the quotes. They're just auto-generated. But we did get that one, and that one's really tough because it's a really short quote, and we had to make a lot of assumptions. So pretty nice job. Yeah, so I'm going to end here.